Hello everyone. Cultivate simple truths. That is the name of this episode. And I would like to begin talking about the beauty in man's eyes, because mainly when we look at the human being, he's driven by a sense of beauty. So when I wake up in the day, what's the most exciting thing? What's the most wondrous thing that is, in a sense, the significance of my day? When you see your significance is always a dynamic state of being, you are no longer trying from one instant of your moment to judge the whole reality, but in a sense seeing that you are present in many worlds which are always integrating because you are the view that is connecting them all. So when man is the light that is, in a sense, enlightening his whole world around him, it is very important to know what the nature of reality is and what the nature of your plane of existence is. What that means is we might all be on Earth, on this physical plane. However, our sensitivity to how we are present in this collective reality is our own tuning into reality. So how you are looking at things is not similar to how someone else is looking at things, regardless of how much you guys have the same ideas, and if you were born to be, in a sense, very similar, but in a sense different, like twins. It is important to focus your attention on your reality, because it is your reality which is giving you the clarity of what exists. So when I say your reality, I'm not trying to say, whoa, you're like something that you can't touch. I'm just saying what is real to you. So it's important as a human being throughout this life to see what is real for you. For example, me touching that tree is real. Me seeing a picture of a tree when I search it in Google Images is not the tree. It's not the experience of the tree. So when you as a being, before you, in a sense, just limit yourself to your humanity, realize the presence that you are, you see that each moment is an invitation to become limitless. So why are you choosing to stick with the reality in front of your eyes? And perhaps we find the dilemma of the man who was staring at the wall, perhaps an inch away, wondering where the door is. Of course you look to your left, it's gonna be, oh man, the wall is so big, because you're so close to it. So when your reality is overwhelming you, the shapes and images that you are seeing present as a self-awareness is, in a sense, not giving you an accurate vision of what is, in a sense, your greater ability. When we focus too much on the wall, of course we can try to find some method above it. So there have been different approaches. Some people have used ladders, some people have used hammers to see that behind that wall there's another wall. And you know, what that means is that if you try to escape this reality, there are other realities which will fill up the intention of your movement. So let us say that your intention is, in a sense, the shape in which the cup is receiving what's being poured in it. And if you are not constantly drinking, or if you're not absorbing every moment with a self that is suddenly dissolving to all selves, then you are carrying weight. So man has to find very simple ways of acknowledging truth, and so he looks at simple truths. And to cultivate simple truths mean to, in a sense, cultivate an appreciation of the simple things in life, just as how you're going to school and you're learning more spectrums and theories, and you're, in a sense, cultivating a more complex view of life. So we are multidimensional beings, and what that means is that our multidimensionality is really individual. So the sense we explore multidimensionality, in other words, how I have trust in the symbols, which have in a sense given my trust into my formless presence, which comes across as my intuition, you will see that self-communication can be done in many ways. So it's like it doesn't matter how you remember something. Once you remember it, you just know it. You know, you just flow. So at times I notice we are paying a lot of attention on limitations, because that is the range of sensitivity of reality we have chosen to see. That is how close we are to the wall, and we think the wall is huge. Of course, step back, and as you step back, by seeing that in a sense, how they have said, do not go into your desires that much. See, desire, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong, for example, with, let's say, doing an action or letting the animal be an animal, you know? But the problem is that once you have an existential responsibility as a more evolved being, as consciousness, then as an awareness to consciousness, then you cannot stay in the same behavior. You are not meant to. Your design is of a greater projection. So a greater projection means that you might have lived the same routine life for your whole life, but now in an instant you must recognize who you are. You must find Mr. Within. Because that is the importance of man. Because we are just utilizing symbols into engaging with more of what is really driving us, that inspiration, which is in a sense your consciousness. So your awareness is simply presence to then be aware of itself in a way that it's not present. So it's a very crazy, complex relationship. Man's awareness and man's consciousness is the most beautiful poetry because it invites and it originates all realms in which poetry can even be conceived of. So when I say you originate realms, you originate reality, that has many meanings because it's a multidimensional concept. And so not all of them can be gotten into. At times when I speak, I try to bring multidimensional themes to a very poetic way because you cannot acknowledge one side of the spectrum to then see it. You need to go on, it's as if one side of the spectrum is only halfway. Then you need to go the other half and go up the mountain completely to get the proper view of new mountains of reality. So, it is very important that throughout your day you cultivate simple truths by trying to observe without a sense of thinker, without a sense of limited self, so without selfishly or for your own knowledge or for a want or a need or for any requirement, but simply just because you're alive and you can, observe the simplicity in all that you're defining complex. And you, in a sense, give yourself the freedom to look in new ways. Because that is the most important thing. Because if you do not cultivate simple truths, you will forget who you are because the complexity of all that you're receiving is pointing to, like, let's say, an interpretation you don't like. You know, you need to be aware of that self beyond the limitations of a blind man. And you're not a blind man. Even though there are many layers of blindness, but but you're not a blind man when you know it's a blindfold. So a person with a blindfold, he may feel he's blind, but he really isn't. And he simply sees that his blindness was created based on how he was programming, or in a sense, observing how reality was presented. Because sometimes it's a very interesting phenomenon when you observe a being in their plane of existence, because they begin considering how it is, and then they also suddenly realize they're always changing infinitely. So in this infinite change, which has had a consideration of static reality, it's as if you are being thrown at very high speeds, but you're holding on the edge of a door or something to not get, for example, pulled into this greater direction, which is simply where nature is heading. So what that means is that many people wonder, what party is this guru heading? What party is this guy going? Where's this guy going? Where's this guy going? Let's do the things that this guy did, so we go there. But in a sense, what is life doing? What is the whole planet as a being doing? What is it seeking? You see, it is because we have made man too significant that we, of all beings, have become insignificant. You must become a simple man. And what that means is that it does not mean you must not have the ability to handle the complex, but you are on purpose trying to live a lifestyle that is more sensitive to nature. I love technology and I see where it's heading, but we cannot have an ignorance to the physical plane of dimension, because that's crazy. That's like an aspect of you is conceiving, is aware of a sense of its physicality, but then in that physicality, it's conceiving another sense. So it's like an illusion within an illusion, where you really wonder where you are, and you see you never need to be in there in the first place. So Inception was just a ridiculous game that one was playing with self. And so there are many senses of you which die when new experiences show, because those new experiences are giving you a newer sense of identification. It's as if different senses of self have stood up. So in this vastness of this existence that we are all present in, it is very important to know your presence, because your presence is where all the simple truths dissolve into. You are an emanation. You are a projection, and a projection implies that you're being projected from a source which you're not seeing because you're being projected outwards. So when sight is being, in a sense, directed externally, you must have internal awareness, because if you don't, you will just think you're being thrown. You will think you're in an unconscious spiral. And so it was man's choice to interpret his reality that way. The greatest, if you feel guilt, it was your choice to feel that way, because you considered those ideologies, regardless whether it was subconscious or it was conscious. You know, whether it was just you indirectly just suddenly felt bad, you didn't really, it's like you did something wrong, you don't know why you felt bad, or suddenly you just realized I did something wrong, you know? So it's very important to have the honesty to be able to allow yourself to change into more natural and existentially allowed states of being. So when you begin to realize that the beauty of life is not only in your individuation, you will see collective intelligences be expressed in your reality, where others call it luck, but you knew where that was coming from. You knew that symbol you saw. You knew that imagery which was significant to you in a way where your linear lifestyle could not explain it. So when something like that happens, it's an existential communication. And when life talks, man must listen, because man is listening to his whole. And that is how he steps out of it, any hole he thinks he's in. And to cultivate simple truth means that you begin suddenly becoming so compassionate, because there is no complexity that can even trigger a reality of hate. You see that love is a wordless love. It's this presence where you are, in a sense, caressing all existence with you being here. And not that you just feel you are thankful for life, but life feels thankful. So you stand and you feel like the trees and the wind and all life is telling you, in a sense, carry on. And it's a very, very, very beautiful feeling. And this is important, because sometimes simple truths lead into observance of your emotional states. And so what that means is that you might, in your anger, do something which after your anger wonder why. Why did I unleash that bolt of Zeus why did I unleash my wrath like that, for example, you know? And you see that the reason was very clear when you did it, but now there is no reason to do it. So when we are in arguments as people and we judge and we try to get rationalities, we're forgetting we're emotional beings. And so the next minute, there's a transition of emotion, because anger is like you, in a sense, how do I say it? Let's say it with the imagery that Buddha shared, that it's as if like you're getting hot coal and throwing it onto someone. So getting hot coal, it's a fast thing, it's an intense thing, because it's burning you. And so you in a sense throw it and get rid of it, and you release yourself, because emotion and thought are not aligned and they're going different directions, and bam, this is the manifestation that occurs. So how I simple it down is that when you go through emotional turbulence, your awareness is too individuated to the significance of your idea. So you think that you're so significant that nothing should touch you because they're insignificant, or because they are not seeing your significance, right? This is a sense of arrogance that comes with human conditioning. It's simply how you are raised, and then to be aware of it this way. So that arrogance fades the minute you see the clarity that did not need to be ignorant. So when you see that there's never a reason for your emotions to be not aligned, they never happen. It's as if like your standard has changed, so you're not the same person. And your standard changes always with greater self-awareness and clarity and experiential awareness of the different dynamics of life, let's say, or different experiences of life. So with the most graceful blessing, learn from compassionate eyes, and also learn from how very compassionate beings and simple beings, but profound, are keeping themselves. In other words, if you see someone, for example, a yogic mystic who is not like, he's renounced all sex and all what, and he's just in the mountains, you see you're not conditioned like him. You don't have the same eyes. So your life, you have to listen to how your life wants to be designed and grow, how you want it to grow. Because without that attention, you are, in a sense, not trusting the realities that are, in a sense, trying to grow, trying to communicate to you. So you must have an existential allowance and such a trust in life that you do not need it to respond back, because you have a trust in yourself. Because you see that it's like you no longer become dependent on the condition or how the condition moves you, but you are the presence of the whole game. And so when you are, then you see that you are allowing the game to occur, because your awareness is moving beyond the objects of observance. And so the observer has a fluidity, which is his ability of multidimensionality to go into many realms of understanding. And so theory no longer becomes just words, but it becomes realms which one must explore. So every book you read, if you're sensitive, if you're subtle, the writer is painting landscapes which if you go through, you will not just learn from your emotions, not learn from your thoughts, but you will walk in ways where you will look back and wonder if infinity could be so beautiful. And you've always known it. And that is why there will be moments in your life when you achieve something that the smile of the hope you had before it, that sense of you, is smiling with the one who's achieved it. And that is when individually you are a beacon of the knowing that is expressed as all. And in cultivating simple truth, there is no need for wrong or any wrongs. Much blessings and namaste.